it's Jen with AstroT Astrology. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the full moon that's happening in Libra tomorrow, which is April 6th, and actually going to be happening late tonight into tomorrow at about 12:34 a.m. So I didn't talk about this in the weekly weather or the weekly forecast very much because I kind of wanted to give it its own video because there's a couple things happening around it that I thought kind of could blend it all together and kind of bring everything as like a building block going from one step to another. So full moons, they happen every month. Every month we have a full moon in whatever planet or whatever the opposite sign of where the sun is. So if the sun is in, say, Gemini, the full moon is going to be in Sagittarius. So this full moon is going to be in Libra because the sun is in Aries. So what the full moon really is, it's an opposition. So an opposition, again, using our strings, it's when two planets are in, directly opposite each other. And that is usually, when you get your chart, you're going to see any opposition using the red lines, the red aspects lines. That means that it can be slightly uncomfortable. So, when you think about eclipses, or not eclipses, when you think about full moons, you think about, in history, no, the full moon, that's when all the crazies come out. That's when all bad stuff's going to happen. There's a reason behind that thinking. And that's because when you think about them being opposite to each other, it's a push and pull, and it's kind of like a inner struggle. So if you think about the Aries Libra full moon, for instance, you have a struggle between myself, because Aries is about I am, and Libra is about we are. So you're struggling between what I want and what's best for us. So what makes this different than all the other full moons is what is coming in the same context with it, what's coming along, what different aspects it's hitting along the way, and all the transiting planets, how they're affecting it as well. So, the Aries or the Libra full moon that happened last year is going to feel a little bit different than the one that happens this year. Some of the themes might be the same because it's still going to be in the same area of your chart, the same house of your chart. So if you have a chart like this, where you have Aries rising, your full moon is going to be in your 7th house. So it's going to be about relationships. If your Aries was, say, in your 10th house, this would be in your 4th house, so it would be more about your home, upbringing, maybe your father, your parents. So, it always is going to kind of have the same themes around it. Sometimes it's not going to be as potent depending on the other things that are going on in the chart. If you have angles, like the ascendant, midheaven, the IC/DC, if you have any of those that are being hit with this, that are in those two signs, you're going to feel it a little bit more. If you have your sun, your moon, or any, especially the personal planets in those signs, you're going to feel it a little more also. So a little bit about this one. Again, this is going to be happening in about kind of a 3-day span is how I look at it. So the first thing we're going to look at is what's going to be happening later today, and that is going to be the sun coming into conjunction with Chiron. So here's Chiron. It's circle with a little K on top. If you're not familiar with Chiron, I'll give you a little bit of background. So Chiron is it is a comet, or I think it's even considered maybe even a dwarf planet, but it's a comet that has an ovular orbit between Saturn and Jupiter. So it's what it represents is a part of your chart, wherever it's found in your chart, is the part of your chart where you have a wound or something, a pain in you that you cannot heal. Chiron is known as the wounded healer, and in mythology, all the planets are named after Greek or Roman gods. And so Chiron is named after that as well. He's actually a half man, half horse, kind of centaur creature, and he is actually the son of Saturn and a nymph that he had attacked and raped, who became pregnant and gave birth to Chiron and kind of abandoned him. So Chiron, he had troubles in life because of his appearance, having a big back as a horse and the front of a human. So one day, he was going hunting with Hercules, and Hercules accidentally shot him with a poison arrow, and that was a wound he could never heal. And that is because Chiron is half mortal, half god. So because he was half mortal, his mortal side, he couldn't heal from this wound. So this is how he's represented in the chart. It's just something in your past, in your psyche, maybe even in your past life, but mostly something that is in you that you cannot heal from. But a good way to look at Chiron is, so Chiron also is a healer. So even though he couldn't heal himself, he could heal others. So he would use his power of healing to help others, even though he could not help himself. So what Chiron means in your chart is it's the point of your chart where you have had trauma, something that you cannot heal from, but you learn and grow from this, and even though you might not be able to heal from it, you can help others heal from it. So you can use that knowledge to help others and help them heal from a similar trauma. So Chiron is a 50-year cycle. So right now, for instance, I'm going through my Chiron return. So Chiron for me was in Aries when I was born, and it's pretty much at the exact same degree. So I'm kind of going through my Chiron return now. So, it's a lot about just kind of coming into a peace with the things that have hurt you in the past, and growing from them and learning from them, and just kind of being accepting. I say, this is the way it is. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself anymore. And so this is kind of what I look at in this full moon. So this is happening right before the full moon. Is the sun and Chiron are coming into conjunction in Aries. So Chiron, 50 years, so it takes a long time to go from sign to sign, and the sun is slowly making its way up to it until it hits it here. So by the time the full moon happens, it's going to be, so that happens around the 16th degree, and then at the 15th degree, and then when the moon comes into, the moon's behind my Chiron, so when the moon becomes full, it's going to be at the 17th degree. So it's going to be a little bit of a separating aspect. So we want to look at, first, you want to look at your, where this is in your chart, where you may have this wound, and what area it is. So we'll kind of go around a little bit and tell a little about how this might affect you. So we're going to go by houses instead of, signs. So first, if it's in your first house, this could be about yourself. This could be something that you maybe feel insecure about. Insecurities, maybe you didn't feel good enough, you didn't feel pretty enough, you didn't feel like you were important enough. Maybe that's the wound. Maybe in the second house, maybe it's about money and you and your things, and maybe when you were young you didn't have anything. Maybe you had no money, maybe you were homeless or just very poor. So in your third house, it's about siblings, communication. Maybe you had issues with your siblings. Maybe you had a deep down problem with one of them. Maybe you lost one of them in a tragic type of way or something like that. Fourth house is about upbringing and family. That has to do with like parents, your home. Maybe something happened, like your home burned down when you were young. Maybe you lost a parent or both parents, or something traumatic. Maybe they did something to you that you can't heal from. Maybe there was some sort of abuse. Then moving on to the fifth house. Fifth house can be a lot of things. It's about like creativity and children. So maybe you lost a child and you can't seem to heal from that. Maybe you were pregnant and lost that child. Maybe you just don't feel like you are creative. Maybe you were put down for I don't know, your artistic talent, something like that. Sixth house has to do with health, um, you know, everyday work. So, health-wise, maybe you have a pre-existing condition that you've had your whole life. Maybe you have, some kind of, special need that you need to overcome. Um, Something like that could be how it explains itself in the sixth house. Seventh house is relationships. Maybe you saw bad relationships when you were young and you don't know how to have a good relationship. Something to that effect. Eighth house is inheritance, other people's money, taxes. Maybe there was problems with your, growing up where you owed people a lot of money, or maybe you just, it's a taboo subject. Maybe there was things that, you kind of didn't want to let out. Something that, bad happened that you don't want to talk about, that you're keeping buried deep inside. Maybe you want to kind of look into that. Then we have Sagittarius, or not Sagittarius, then we have the 10th, or the 9th house, learning. Maybe you had a learning disability. Maybe you had, something that kept you from, or maybe in the church, maybe they were too strict, or you had a bad experience in that way. 10th house could be mother. Maybe your mother was overbearing, controlling, abusive in some way. 11th house, friends. Maybe you felt isolated. Maybe you didn't have a lot of friends. Maybe you had trouble making friends. You were alone a lot, or maybe you just didn't have any other people around you. 12th house is a lot of things you hide. It could be about addiction, things like that. Maybe you had grew up with addictive people in your life. Maybe you were born with an addiction or something like that that is your wound. So anyway, these are the things that how this might play out in your full moon. So when we think about the full moon in Libra, we want to think about what's Libra all about. So Libra is about balance, it's about harmony, it's about love, it's about partnership, it's about we, just like we said, it's about me and somebody else. Where in your life do you feel like you're out of balance? If say that it is in your, your sun is in your 12th house, that's where your Chiron is in there, and it's, this is all happening in, we'll say your 6th house. So what in your life maybe do you need to get rid of? Do you need to kind of purge that will get you in balance? So if you think about a scale, To keep the scale balanced, they both have to have the same amount of weight. So what part of your life right now has more weight than the other part? Something that you have to get rid of so that you can really kind of feel, get your equilibrium going, kind of feel at peace. And it is about cutting things out. And sometimes you just have to do that in order to feel at peace. Maybe, you know, if it is about relationships, because Libra is a lot about relationships. If there is, say your partner, maybe he is unhealthy for you. Say you're somebody you work with, you know, it can be about your everyday acquaintances, you know, people that you are with every day. It's any relationship that you have with another human being. If you're having an issue with somebody, it might be a good time to really think about sitting down with that person and saying, here's what's going on, we need to figure this out and make a change, and either we make this change, get rid of all, you know, the old, start anew, or we just cut this whole relationship. You know, again, it's how this is going to play out for you. If it is an addiction of some sort, what do you need to cut out to make your life more balanced? So that's going to be happening at around a little after midnight, about 12:34. So the next thing that is coming is we have the sun coming into it and applying semi-sextile, with Uranus. So a sextile, and the sextile is a good aspect. We've talked about this. It's 60 degrees apart. So when you think of a semi-sextile, it's only 30 degrees apart. So when this is going to be happening, the sun is going to be in about 17 degrees. Let me see. Yeah, it's about 17 degrees in Aries. And because it's only 30 degrees apart, you know, it's only one sign apart because the signs are 30 degrees. So Uranus is going to be in Taurus and at the 17th degree. So that's when, so it's a pleasant aspect because it is a sextile, it's a semi-sextile, so it's not going to bring a lot of grief, it's going to be more beneficial for you. Uranus is about sudden change, so when you think of all that we kind of talked about, you'll see how it all is going to kind of work together. So what's bringing you pain in your life? The Chiron. What's bringing you imbalance in your life? The Libra. What action, the Aries sun, are you going to take to find your moon balance and get rid of the Chiron pain and deal with it? And the Uranus is the big change you're going to make this happen. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. So keep a keen attention, especially, you might not feel it, but when you look back, sometimes you can see these things. So what you really want to do is you want to kind of assess what it is in your life, again, that needs healing, that needs balance, how we're going to bring that in balance, and then you can you can see this actually happening in you. It might not be like, boom, right in your face, but it's going to happen. It's probably going to happen quickly. Full moons don't take very long. You know, the moon moves quicker than anything else. It's going to be out of that sign in about a day or so. You know, the moon only stays in the sign for 2.5 days. So it's going to be something quick. Uranus is about quickness. It's about, you know, sudden change. So make that change. Have that discussion. Do what you need to do and really use this to your benefit. This is all looks very positive, and I think, you know, going into the holiday weekend, this could really make, you know, to kind of get rid of this, you know, that imbalance, to get rid of, you know, put your one shoulder up here, one shoulder here. We got to have them together. We're going to exhale, and we're going to really appreciate that we can just have maybe a nice weekend with family with a little breather. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, and also please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you come back for my other videos that I have coming up. We have our weekly forecast that we're going to be doing. I think I'm going to bump it up and do it like every Saturday for the following Sunday to Sunday or Sunday to Saturday. And then we're going to do at least 1 or 2 videos a week of some interesting aspects that we see coming up. We're coming into eclipse season, so I have tutorials on the nodes coming up, getting to know what the nodes are, what they are in your life, and kind of getting to know what an eclipse is and what makes that different than new moons, full moons, and things like that. So I look forward to having you. Hit the little bell to get the notifications for my new videos coming up, and I hope you have a great day and a great holiday weekend if you observe Easter. So again, have fun. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.